Flik is forced to spend the summer with his preacher grandfather. The two immediately clash over just about everything.
You embarrass me.
You need Jesus in your life, son.
You gotta compromise with him. He's old school, okay?
But just as they find a common ground, their family bond is severely tested in Red Hook summer.
Hello, I'm Leah. Welcome to another episode of Just Seen It. I am joined today by Rachel and David, two of our co-reviewers.
Hello.
And Red Hook Summer is our film that we'll be discussing. We've all just seen it.
We certainly have.
Red Hook Summer is part of what has been called Spike Lee's Brooklyn Chronicles.
Mm-hmm.
So what we have is this story that's very kind of slice of life. It takes you, it kind of really foregrounds, you know, everyday minutia,
Right.
what we do in the neighborhood on a daily basis.
What you've touched on is the problem that I have with this movie. This is a 2-hour movie, and for the first hour and a half of this movie, nothing happens. Is there any tension in the first hour and a half?
Yes.
Okay, I'd love to hear why. I don't think there's any tension until the earth-shattering event that happens literally in the last half an hour of the movie.
Spoiler alert. Something happens in this movie.
Something happens, and you're sitting and you're waiting and saying, you know, I know something's going to happen, and I'm looking at my watch.
The minutia is not minutia to me. I mean, first of all, there's so many movies where the setup is this really cute character, a really interesting setup, and then all of a sudden you're into this big conflict, and here's the rising, and the
Off
whole
you
thing
go
is very,
on the plot, is
and
what
it's,
you say.
Yes, and you know what? I really enjoyed getting to know these characters. It was an very unusual group of characters. You're seeing these people who are, you know, very sort of church-centric, and they're like relics. I feel like they're doing a tightrope act to try and preserve their culture and their beliefs, even though there's like gangs and hoodlums and different things.
And I think that is the tension that you and probably a lot of audience members will find a bit frustrating. And that Spike is, in my observation, employing a kind of style of filmmaking that really requires pushing the audience away from the screen so that they can see the bigger picture. And not giving you an opportunity to be bound up emotionally with these characters by having them yell at you constantly, by having him give you message.
Yep, everyone's yelling at you in
He
this
creates
movie.
this deeply polemic
Yeah.
critique of the Black church.
Everything you're saying is right. I could have got it in the first half an hour in the movie. I didn't need it over and over again through an hour and a half of the movie until that earth-shattering event happens, and then it all makes sense. It was just like, I got it.
Well, you see Spike's style emerging throughout permeating every aspect
Absolutely.
of the film. Certainly in the way that the film looks, it's high saturated colors.
Yep.
We have really loud, bombastic music that doesn't really seem to go away.
No.
But the music, what the music does is it works diametrically, so you can see something kind of scary happening on the screen, but you've got this kind of poppy music playing in the background.
goodness,
So
yeah.
the music works against the image.
And it's nice when with the music, you know, then it doesn't become some overly sentimental sort of
Right.
moment. You're just
Right.
like, okay, here's what's happening.
No sentimentality
Yeah.
here.
It bumps for me. It was just like, you can let me watch, you can let me enjoy it just a little, you can let me in
Well, wait a
just
minute.
a teeny
What
bit.
did you think about Clark Peters'S performance?
Oh, unbelievable. Clark Peters was, of course, in The Wire. I loved him in that. He is so dynamic in this movie.
And he plays the bishop. He plays the main
Right,
character.
sorry, he plays Bishop Enoch, and he's so mesmerizing and he's so dynamic, and you totally believe him from the first step, even though he's so over the top, but that's what his character is.
Well, and that's what's so brilliant about the acting here. And not
Right.
everyone does it. And
I agree.
I think that is the hardest thing to do as an actor, is to take something and paint with such large, bold colors and still be real.
Right, and still be
truthful.
real. Absolutely.
And he does it, and he's layered, and he's, you know, you can tell there's something eating away at him
Yes.
without him, like, you know, projecting that. Flik is played by Jules Brown, and yes, he's not the most expressive actor, but on the other hand, he's playing a teenager, he's fairly sullen, and I would much rather see someone who's a little bit understated than someone who's slick and really, you know, smacks of an actor's training.
Polished.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than a child actor who sounds like an adult.
I know that I've been kind of harsh on this movie, and that's because I really am a big Spike Lee fan, but I will give it to him. He did a great job of directing this movie. He created a world, immersed me in it, I bought it right away. I like what he did with the actors, I like the way he moved the camera. The issue I have is with the pacing.
Red Hook Summer is not a perfect film. It is a film that is difficult to watch, but it is an important film because it reminds us that there are indeed wolves hiding in sheep's clothing. So I say stream it.
This movie takes too long for me to get going, but the riveting performance by Clark Peters as Bishop Enoch makes it worthy of a stream it.
There are some issues with this movie, but I really enjoyed it. I think there's some pacing issues and some uneven acting, but it's about really important subject matter. And it's well done and it's unique, so I give it a see it.
Well, our votes add up to 2 tickets, which is a stream it for Red Hook Summer.
I can live with that.
I can live with that. Cheers, guys. Here's
Cheers.
to Spike.
Here's to Brooklyn.
Here we are, shake
Do
it out.
not use that footage. In comes
Bam.
Bruce Hornsby and the range. Plunky, 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 plunky.